Yeah, I'd always consider myself a poet and playwright. Like I came out of school and I was going to change the world, and and then I took on the residency at the Vancouver Public Library, and the first day I got there, they gave me my name tag, and with my picture on it for security and that kind of stuff, and it had my name, Joseph A. Dandurand, and my title was FN Storyteller. And I was like, yeah, that's what I am. I'm an effing storyteller. So yeah, if you, yeah, I'm an effing story. And they were like freaking out. They're like, oh my God, we have to change that. I said, no, I love it. I'm an effing storyteller. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna read some poems and maybe a short story if that's all right, if I have time. The first book I want to read from is a book I published in '95. And when my mom was 5, she was put on a train in Fort Langley here, and she was sent to Cooper Island Residential School, and she graduated from St. Mary's Residential School. So that's what the title of this poem is called. It's called St. Mary's. 1955, down by the river, hut and mutt fishing. Quiet Sunday afternoon, all the chores have been finished. Catholics are in the field searching for lovely flowers to pick, to smell, to taste. Hook's the first one, her little arms holding on, holding, pulling. The fish snaps up into the air and looks around, its eyes staring right at her. Little Indian girl, little fisherman, little gift from above. Her hands grasp the pole, her eyes widen, her breath quickens. Flowers picked out of earth, snapped at the stem. Noses sniff in the air, searching for the scent of God. All his creations, now devoured by humans. Flowers, fish, little Indians with crosses around their necks. Flowers, lovely flowers. Fish, it jumps once more and snaps the line, going down to the bottom, down where the water is calm. It rests, swallows the fat worm, unaware of the creation, unaware. Mutt gets a nibble, the hairs on his arm stand up. Catholics singing in the fields, songs about glory and salvation. Mutt dances the worm, singing his song beneath his breath, soft enough so the nuns do not hear him. He shuffles his feet, trying to remember his dance. Worm dances beneath the water. A salmon spots it, swims towards it. Hunger, dance, song, shuffle in a bare brown feet. Fields of flower, fields of salvation. River, water. Fish takes the worm, fields of song. Worm becomes a hook. The salmon snaps its head to the left and then to the right. Hook goes deeper. Mutt pulls, his little Indian arms pulling, his song getting louder, his feet quickening to the beat of the drum inside his head. He pulls, he sings, he shuffles his feet like the old days, like the days back home. He pulls the fish out of the water. He takes a small club-like branch and snaps the fish on top of the head twice. Fish stops. Mutt pulls the hook and what is left of the worm out of the fish's mouth, drops it back into the river. Fields of flowers, songs of glory and salvation. 2 Indian kids on the river's edge, 1955. Worm on hooks, songs, drum, paint, memories of home, silently breathing songs of glory. And snap your fingers at the poetry slams.
Sure.
Yay. It's all, I think I'll have some funny stuff later, but yeah, it's all serious stuff. You know, it's my birthday tomorrow. Halloween.
Happy birthday.
Halloween.
Yes.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Nobody
birthday.
cares it's your birthday on Halloween, so just no, I'm kidding. This is from Schlam, the doctor. Schlams were, we called them that was the English word for them. They're like medicine people or healers. We called them Shlams. Yeah, and they could do all kinds of weird stuff like eat fire and lift up boiling pots of oil and stuff like that. That's some of the stories I got from them. This is called The Shine Brings You Home. I have changed and find myself on a highway wetted with the tears of our lost. I'm here to meet the man who has taken all the women and has put them on the side of the road in a puddle by a tree, in a ditch, or slowly floating to the bottom of a creek. I get a ride and I remember the truck in every detail and the smells of the dead encircle this man as he smokes and opens his window. He never looks at me. I do not see fear or sorrow from this man, and he is not from here, so he says. He tells me of his family, his children, and the cost of gasoline. I look at him as he appears to be on fire, and the heat of him begins to burn my fingers as I reach out and touch him. And all he sees and has seen evaporates into a hot mist and falls out the window as he blows smoke from his cigarette out into the world he has forsaken. And when I get out of the truck, he waves a tattooed arm at me as the medicine I have given him begins to carry into his blood. And all the women circle around him and they cry and they scream, and it is the screams that envelop him. And he accepts the disease I have given him by the touch of my hand. I have erased him as the women cry and scream. And this opens up the sky as the sun, as the shine brings you home. Just
Wow.
thank you.
Gorgeous rhythms in that one.
Thanks. I'm going to read from, where is it? I have to find it, sorry. This is from a new book I just gave. What I love about writing now, like I've been writing for about 30 years, but remember back in the day, you had to like send self-addressed envelopes to be rejected, and now we just get an email, which is cool. But I go through these. I was going through these fits of. I'd look up publishers from all over the world, and I send my work out, and you know, hope for a bite or a nibble, and and it seemed to work. But I've been published by like 4 or 5 different publishers in the past few years. But I finally signed on with Nightwood Editions in Seashell because I have family there. So I worked a lot with Silas White from Nightwood. And before I signed on to them, I'd signed a deal with Guernica on a book. So this book came out from Nightwood, and then this one came out from Guernica at the same time. So they're both kind of choked about sales and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, whatever. But yeah, now I just have one publisher, so I don't have to worry. Of course, I can't find what I'm going to read. Gee. Sorry about this. Remember, I'm an effing storyteller, so. Okay, this is the one I was looking for. I was looking in the wrong book, so. It's called His New Honors. I spent some time in a few madhouses, and not that I was forced to. It was, I did not want to live anymore, and I'd stopped eating. And so I walked into the stream of craziness and accepted that I did not belong there. And those I met along the way accepted me as well, and we had a good time of it. In the mornings, I would awake to the sound of a whistle, as the guy in the next room was, of course, a lifeguard. And he was supposedly a very good swimmer in his younger days. And now he can be found on the third floor, section 15 of this place. And he whistles to those who are breaking the rules of this pool, which of course is an oddly painted hallway consisting of drab lighting and the smells of men who do not care for themselves. And the whistle gets me up and I dress and look at my face in the mirror. And today I almost recognize who I used to be. In the evening after a meal of tea and toast, and that's a start for me because I have only been here for a few days and already I want out. And after my cold tea, I walk back to my room and I'm greeted by Christ, who says, "Welcome, my child," to me. And I say hello, and he kneels in the corner and recites a recipe from some, some meal he must have had when he was a child. And I lay on my bed and I close my eyes, and when I open them, Jesus is standing over me, chewing on an apple. And I thought to myself, how interesting that Jesus is eating the apple. And as he chewed, I swear I saw a snake come out of one of his eyes, and I screamed, and Jesus screamed, and the lifeguard whistled as someone had pissed in the pool. And all I could think of was how many steps it was to the front door of this place and how I would just leave and go back to this crazy world we all live in.
Fabulous. Okay, I'll do this. Yeah.
I'm also the director of Vancouver Poetry House in Vancouver, and that's they kind of started out as doing poetry slams, and I'd never been to one, but that's the only thing I kind of got out of poetry slams is you snap your fingers. So when I teach kids and that in schools, I always get them to snap their fingers. Okay, I'm gonna read from the east side of it all. How am I doing for time, Mr. Daniel? Good, okay. It's called The Sturgeon's Lover. In the deepest part of the river, there lived a great sturgeon, and she swam along the bottom and fed upon the dead who had fallen. She was about 300 years old, and when she was full, she came to the surface and jumped as high as she could, and all the males came to her, and she kissed each male and let them have her. Months later, she quietly went to her favorite part of the river, and there she released her eggs in the millions, and then began again to swim the bottom and to search for any new bodies that had fallen from upriver. Which she feasted upon with her old, softly kissed lips. The legend goes that a fisherman had fallen into the waters and was drowning when the great sturgeon came to him and came to her and asked him for a kiss. He agreed, and the two fell in love, and together they would feed upon all the food at the bottom of the river. One day her eggs came to life and created the people across the river. The people lived there for centuries, and the sturgeon and the man would visit from time to time, bringing them food to survive the cold winters, until the people too walked into the water and fell to the bottom as the man kissed his lover. Today we do not fish for sturgeon as their numbers have been decimated by overfishing and loss of spawning grounds. Whenever I catch a sturgeon in my net, I let her go, and she always turns back and smiles as she flicks her mighty tail and splashes me. My son always laughs as I stand there stunned and wet, while the great sturgeon slowly swims away and turns back to blow us a kiss. We both wipe our lips as the great sturgeon falls to the bottom of the water. There, waiting for her, is her lover, He kisses her one last time. She cries as she begins to eat him.
Whoa.
Oh,
Wow.
I always hate
Fabulous.
catching sturgeon because when they come up white bellied, and it's like the body.
Oh my goodness. I love the blowing the kiss.
Yeah, yeah. They have really big. Have you ever seen one up close? They have really big, almost like catfish lips underneath. They have whiskers. Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you. Where am I? How much time do I have exactly? So I can,
Oh, another 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, whatever.
7,
We're
8,
all having fun. You just keep going there. No
okay. Okay, I'm gonna read you I'll read you a short story. That's what I'm working on now, a book of short stories. So yeah. This is called When the Snake Moved. In every longhouse there lives a snake. Some of them are huge and do not move unless they need to. Some are young and they have just begun their lives living beneath the bleachers of the longhouse. And they eat all the mice. They come in all colors, but mostly they are green and gray, and they move with such ease. After a big gathering and everyone has left and the fires are going out, the snake will come out of a hole in the floor and it will move around the home and it will eat the mice, but sometimes the home will leave food for the snake and the snake is thankful for a taste of fish or perhaps some wild meats. When the snake is full, it goes back into the hole and it curls up and it sleeps until the next gathering. Sometimes the snake will move and people say they have seen a snake, but no one is sure as the snake moves with magical movement. Once at a gathering, the snake of the home came out of its hole and it slithered across the floor and it curled up beside the fire and everyone saw it. They stopped the work and they sang a snake song for the large green-gray snake. The snake rose up and it became a man, and all the people went quiet and they waited for the snake man to speak. His words were so old and in their language. He told the people that they must walk and talk in a good way and that they should always live their lives with a good heart and that they should always have their ears open and to listen to the words. These teachings are so old and none of them are written down in a book. When the snake man was finished speaking, everyone came to him and they each gave him one mouse for the snake man. He said, "Thank you" in our language, and then he curled up by the fire and became the green-gray snake. He stayed there until everyone had left and the fires went cold. He rose up and went into his hole with 100 mice for him to eat when he again became hungry. A young snake came into an empty, cold home upriver, and the snake began to dig a hole in the floor. The people of this house had not gathered since a sickness had almost wiped them out. The home began to come alive as the young snake sang old songs, and soon the doors opened and a boy came in. A boy came in. Where am I? A boy came into the home and he lit the fires, and soon the home was once again warm, and the people who had survived the sickness came and they gathered and they feasted and they sang old songs, and the boy kept the fire going, and soon the young snake appeared and he was green yellow and he had blue eyes that glowed in the soft darkness of the home. The snake went to the fire and he became a man, and he stood up and told the people he was a healer and that they should come to him and touch his hands. And they did. and they did. They went to him and they touched his hands, and they were healed from all the sorrow they had they had from losing so many of their family. When this was done, the healer began to sing, and then he danced around the floor of the home, and the floor and the floor of the home was now blessed and cleansed. When he was done, he curled up by the fire and watched as the people sang old songs, and some stood up and left words. As the fire glowed, the snake moved and went back down its hole, and the people left, and the boy checked the fire once more. And then he went out and closed the doors. And when he stopped, he looked up to the moon as his eyes glowed a soft blue. Snaps.
Wow, lovely.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, you know, I when I teach children, they always ask me, well, how do you get your ideas? And well, I see things and then I kind of store them in my head. So the other day I work in our, the director of our cultural center, and we have a longhouse beside it. And I was walking down the hall, I was gonna use the washroom, and all of a sudden something slithered along the floor, and it was a little garden snake. Yeah, so I picked it up and then I wrote that story after seeing that. So one more. Is that good? One more? Okay. Everybody okay? We didn't, no? Okay, good. This is from a unpublished manuscript. I don't know about you guys, but we kind of have no excuse but to write. Yeah, so I've been writing lots. So this is called I would like to say thank you. I would like to say thank you to the nuns and the priest who abused me when I was 6. Thank you for doing that to me. And if you'd like to see how I am, just look out your window as I pass by, because I know where you live, old man. And to the sisters, I would like to thank you for toughening me up for later in life it was needed. And I shook off all comers, and I took the pain you gave me when you stepped on my 6-year-old brown hand and told me to be still and that God was watching me. And when I finally confronted that old man, I slapped him across the face, and in his eyes, I could see the lust he had for me those decades before. And now he weeps as the pain in his face changes, and I walk away still that little brown boy in need of comfort. And I know that I am who I am, and to you abusers, you cannot have me. You cannot destroy me. I can do that all by myself, thank you. To the men who used me when I was 9 or 10, thank you for scarring me and giving me nightmares, as they still haunt me here at 55 in my little office, where I punch out poems to soothe the soul, where I can relive the torture of being touched by men. Thank you, and I will visit you one day and go up to you, slap you, kick you, bite you, end you. The music changes and I have some new kick-ass headphones, and I can hear all the greats and remember times when I was 15 and drinking and doing LSD and tripping in a bar and watching a Pink Floyd cover band, and they were awesome. And the bar was lit with very cool lights and I was tripping. And when it was over, the house lights came on, and it was then that I realized that the rest of the bar that night was full of fully patched outlaw bikers. And there I was, 15 and long hair and brown skinned and tripping. But they let me float on out of there and into the streets, and me and my friends who were also tripping, we floated home. And as I am here now, I put on some blues and write some poems about this or that. I wanted to say thank you to all the girls I knew when I was 14, and we all hung out on the weekends, and we did our best to be as drunk as we could, and there were such gentle moments. I remember being with a girl and we made love and giggled as those around us were so wasted and they puked and they pissed themselves, and we still conquered our teenage years with the best of them. And even today, I remember each girl's name, and I remember how we made love and how we drank until early morning. And I just want to thank them for loving me when I was 14 and so skinny and brown and long haired and not even sure I liked myself back then. And I am sure I do not like me now. The edges are creepy, the hair is gone, the eyes are crooked, so is the nose. I weep myself to write a poem for all you girls, even though I know I have been forgotten.
Wow, many thanks, Joseph. What a great.
Thanks, Dan.
Wow.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank
So-
you guys for staying up late. It's my
Oh.
bedtime.
Wow, that was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So feel free to ask Joseph any questions or
Sure.
make other comments. Thanks, Joseph. Wonderful.
I enjoyed everybody's pieces tonight. They're wonderful. Thank you for sharing those
Yeah.
in the open mic.
Thank you for your honesty. I think those